but it's fine for reiteration. And then lastly, we'll give room for questions. So let's start. This should move now. So yeah, this Dr. Will Draper is actually a US vet. I'm a big fan right now, so I just decided to share his picture. He's right there doing some auscultation on a dog. I think that's what you guys are used to right now. If you're in your clinical year, 500 level, 600 level, you're probably thinking about how to become a very good vet doctor. You know, you're going to clinics, you're learning how to do venipuncture, you're learning how to take temperature, how to do auscultation and all that, which is fine. It's okay for you to perfect your clinical proficiency, because at the end of the day, you're a vet. And like what Dr. Adebi said, when you switch over to being a researcher, you're still a vet. And at any point in time, you can be called to do your duty, and it would be embarrassing if you cannot do basic things. Like she said, she was in charge of giving out some anesthetic agents. If you don't know your basic clinical medicine, that won't be good. And there's nothing bad in diversifying, you know, like being a good vet at the same time being a good researcher. So maximize your veterinary training, like perfect your clinical proficiency before you even start thinking about research. Like know your vet very well. If you're in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, as you're thinking about these other things we're talking about today, also try as much as possible to be good at what you're doing, because you can't spend 6 years in vet school, which is more like a clinical study, and not know what you're doing. So yeah, perfect that. And while you're doing that, focus on understanding the basics. I think preclinical classes are good at doing this, like knowing the basics of what you're even what vet is all about, like the biochemistry, the physiology, the anatomy, the stuff you're doing at preclinical classes. Because at the end of the day, if you're very good at understanding these basics, they will help you in synthesizing research questions. You know, most of the questions we ask in research, they go as far as the molecular stuff. So where does it start from? What is exactly the basics for what you're doing? You know, you want to know the nitty-gritty of disease development, disease progression, and stuff like that. How does this animal get sick? You know, you're referring back to the cell, to the tissue, and stuff like that. So understand the basics. It will help you eventually when you want to transition to becoming a researcher. And then discover your niche. You have to know what you like. Just like Dr. B said again, I'll keep making references to her because she did a very good job in talking about this stuff. What excites you? What do you like? You know, not everybody really likes culturing bacteria or dealing with viruses. Some people prefer just playing with bones and stuff. And there's a place for that in research. You know, everything is not about just biomedical stuff like that. People are doing clinically related research. So discover what really excites you. You know, if probably you get to paraclinical classes and you suddenly find out that you just love parasites. You just love those big stuff. You're not interested in looking at things with microscope, so tiny, and you know what you want to see are all those worms. And so discover what you really like. You know, it will help you, and that will even guide you in the choice of mentor that you pick. You know, when you know what you want to do, then you can now look for people who are leaders in that niche. People who have done quite well in that niche. For example, when I was in vet school, I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do. Really, basically, I was just okay. Maybe I'll just give you guys a little story. So when I got to 100 level, I also wanted to do medicine. My story is very funny. I finished secondary school, I think 2016, thereabout. I can't remember precisely now. It's been a long time. But I remember that I spent like 4 years at home. And not because I was in passing jam. It was because I wanted to study medicine. And, you know, you pass Is that they, in Nigeria now, is that they give you something, one funny course like that. And I remember they gave me a science course. I didn't want it. I wanted medicine. So at the end of the day, I didn't get the medicine. So I came to Ibadan, and I heard about vet medicine for the first time. And somebody told me they also called them doctors. I said, really? They call them doctors, vets? So I decided, okay, let me just try this thing out. At the same time, I'm going to write JAMB. And so I wrote JAMB and, filled in medicine while I was doing vet. And then something happened, like Dr. Debbie mentioned, some open doors will, find a way to guide your steps in life. My first year, there was this scholarship that came out, MTN scholarship. And that scholarship, they indicated that this is strictly for science and tech. So if you're in medicine, you shouldn't apply, because I guess they didn't want to pay that money for 6 years. So, but I tried my luck. I said, let me just apply for this thing. So I applied. And funny enough, I was invited for the interview. And the day I was going to go for the interview, I went with my ID card showing vet medicine. I was really scared because I thought they would send me back. But something happened along the line. They didn't send me back. I went for this stuff. And I remember praying at some point, which also, emphasizes the point of trusting God in whatever you're doing. Life is all about learning how to depend on higher powers. You can't do everything on your own. I don't know, maybe you guys are free thinkers, which is fine. There's no judgment, but I believe in God solely. So I remember praying and asking God that if vet is my path, then I should get the scholarship. And yet the scholarship came. And so that was like an indication for me that this is your path. But now let's go back to what I was saying. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I wanted to be a doctor initially. I just wanted to be a medical doctor. So I was in vet school, just doing the basic courses. But I didn't know my area of interest because all the courses were just normal. My own is just to go there and, just pass the exams. If we're able to have distinction, fine. If I'm not able to have distinction, fine, it's okay. I didn't really have any interest or any specific niche until I got to my 5th year. And I discovered that I loved public health, because it resonates with me better than the other courses. Like I could see the relevance of vet and human medicine, like the connection. I could see that as a vet, I will impact the lives of people by preventing zoonotic diseases and stuff like that. So yeah, that was how I found out my niche. And I started building mentorship in that good relationship with people space. And eventually turned out that they were the ones who eventually afterwards. So, contacting people to mentor you in that path. And like Dr. Debbie said, it's a responsible relationship. So don't just expect that they are the one to give you what you want alone. You also have to, that's why we said invest. You have to be a good mentee. You have to, reach out, not only when you have need. There are sometimes you can reach out to, we have this mentality in Nigeria that we believe only people who have everything, or people who have everything don't have needs, which is not true. Like if you see a wealthy man that has $1 million, you're like, what can I do for this man? He already has money. No, there are simple things you can do for somebody that would entrench your name in their heart, and they will be more than willing to help you when you also need them. So yeah, invest in that mentorship and professional relationship. And so this is again, like I said, what Dr. Debbie already said, seek to volunteer and intend for skill acquisition. This is very, 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 very vital. I don't know how I can drum this into your ears, but if you're in 300 level or 400 level vet medicine and you have not done any internship, I'm not talking about what's the name of that abattoir again? It's not Akinyele abattoir I'm talking about biomedical internship, like learning basic molecular techniques. If you're really interested in research, let me just bust your bubble. If you don't have any idea about molecular science, and you want to come to this space, you will struggle a lot. I was sharing with a friend of mine, she's from Kenya, and she's been working with the Kenya Institute of what was it called again? Medical Research Institute, KEMRI in Kenya. And I told her that, because basically what we're going through as PhD students, nobody is talking about all those things we learned while we're in undergraduate school. It's purely molecular science. And like Dr. B said the other time, you're doing techniques that ideally you should have learned when you were even 200 level, Western blotting, qPCR, things that you should have known ever since you were in undergrad, but you didn't know that. So it will actually look embarrassing if they throw you a big man with beer in the lab and you're there struggling with Western blots. That would be really funny. So try and look for a place you can do internship. It's very, very important. I understand that you might not have a lot of it in Faculty of Vet Medicine in UI right now, but I know there are some labs. I know of Cardiorena lab for Dr. Yagbimi and the rest of them. At least places you can learn, even if it's just basic assays. You can learn how to pipetting skills. Let's even start from there. Pipetting skills, how to pipette correctly, how to do some simple biomedical stuff. Please, it's very important for you to get this before you even finish your vet school. It will help you a lot. All right, moving on. Yeah, how do you now build a very strong profile for a research career? What are the things you're supposed to do? If you're in 100 level right now, you're wondering, or you're in 200 level, you're wondering, how can I make my profile tight to get into this space? So Dr. Adebi already implicated me by saying that I will talk about this, and as if she's a prophet. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just going to mention about this briefly so that and I'm going to talk about the reason why I'm saying this. I know, yes, a lot of people they say, grades is not everything, yeah, I understand that part also, which is also very correct. But at the same time, I belong to this school of thought that whatever you do it with all your might. If all your might now means that it cannot get maybe a distinction in vet school and all that, it's fine. Your conscience is satisfied because you actually know that you put in all your effort. So the bottom line is, put in all your effort, be diligent in what you're doing, and that culture of diligence will also be transferable to whatever you'll be doing later on in the future. So good grades are very important. They are not crazily crucial like that, but of course they are very important. And why do I say that? What does your good grade, what does it tell anybody going through your application, for example? It's going to show them that you have very nice aptitude, you have the ability to learn, and also to reproduce whatever it is you've learned. And it also shows them that, at least to a very large extent, you're intelligent. I know people say grade is not a good yardstick for judging intelligence, but if not grades, what else? Like, you have to put something on paper for me to know that you have something upstairs. So yeah, and then it also shows that you're hardworking. That's the point. It shows that you're hardworking. Whatever it is you're given to do, you put in all your effort, and then you bring out something nice from that. And it shows consistency. It shows that over the years, you're not lazy, you're not slacking what you're doing. The same you that had a very nice grade or nice results in 100 level is still the same you graduating in your 600 level. So that's what good grades tells anybody reviewing your profile, that you're a good candidate, you're a good fit for what position you have applied for. And like she rightly said, also research experience. We cannot say this enough. Like, you're coming into for example, a PhD program. A PhD program is not an undergraduate program, is a research program. So if you don't have research experience, it will be very hard for them to make a case for you to even bring you in the first place. And even if you're so lucky, you're super lucky, you get into this space, you might struggle. It might be very hard to proceed. yeah, it gives you hands-on exposure. You can do stuff with your hands, and you're already used to laboratory culture, you know, you already, you know. So I'm in my second year of PhD, and sometimes now we have first year people rotating in labs, and you see some of the new guys, they just come in like that, then they bring their phones inside the lab, they are even almost bringing food sometimes. So that's the way that maybe they have never really been in a lab, so your research experience is not just the hands-on exposure you've had, or you're also used to the environment. You know how to behave yourself in the lab. The right things to do at the right time in the lab. And it also helps, it improves your scientific communication. You're not just talking anyhow when you're maybe during data meeting, for example. You're communicating as a scientist, you know the right things to say. And publications, I think recently it's becoming a trend in the US that if you're going to get into, I don't know about other schools, but some of these Ivy League schools and the schools that are probably research based, they at least want to see just one published article in your CV, to be sure that at least you've gone through that process of writing a paper and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be a paper published in Nature or Science or all these top journals, but at least they know that you already know the process, because that's what you'll be doing at least for a long time. And so if you have attached yourself to a lab, or you're planning to attach yourself to a lab to learn some basic things as an intern, you can be looking out for this sort of things. It will help your profile. And then soft skills. You have to know how to talk, because in research is about writing, about doing wet lab, writing and talking, basically. Let's just say it that way. You're doing wet lab, you're doing experiments, and then you're translating that experiment into data, and then you're communicating the data by writing or speaking. So it's very important if you can develop your soft skills now. Learn how to communicate, learn how to talk, and also learn how to write. Then learn how to be honest, because if you study in the US, for example, I think it's everywhere. It should be in Canada and other places too. There's this course we take, responsible conduct of research. Basically, they want you to be a honest scientist, so such that if you're seeing a data, you're not reporting something else. So yeah, so basic things like honesty, like having your leadership skills, integrity, communication, and stuff like that. You want to develop those soft skills before you even finish your vet school, so that your profile can be very tight. So a combination of all this is not just the grades alone. You can be very brilliant in vet school. If you don't have any research experience, it might be very hard for you to get research positions. And if you don't have soft skills, you can't talk, because even if before you can even get into those schools, you do interviews, and they want to see how you want to communicate with them. I think when I did my interview to get into WSU here, one of the questions they asked me was to talk about the research I've done before, start from the rationale for the study, the methodology, the results I got, and then the conclusions I made. So now imagine that, like, if you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to organize yourself, you might lose the position. So a combination of good grades, research experience, soft skill will make your profile very tight. Yeah, I've talked about this before. Useful resource for potential researchers. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, 100 level, go and create one now. Like after this program, just go and create one. It's very important, because when you're on LinkedIn, you can connect to other people, you can see what other people are doing, and to be a huge motivation for you. And you need to get this. I've listed Grammarly, Mendeley here. Grammarly will help your writing, such that you're not making blunders, even from the point of writing statement of purpose. I know some people actually think nobody reads your statement of purpose. People, they actually read it. They read it, and if you're making blunders from that side, it might be very hard to get positions. So get Grammarly. I know it comes with subscription, but I think there are some, if I'm correct, there are some free trials and stuff you can use on this kind of apps. And Mendeley will also help referencing, and you learn how to reference scientific writings from now. How to make sure that you're not just, and it will help if you're in 600 level vet medicine. That's a very nice place to start when you're doing your project, such that your project is well written, and then you have the right references and citation. ResearchGate will also open you up to all the research people are doing. You can read papers on PubMed. At least all these things I didn't know when I was in 100 level, 200 level, honestly. So I just thought it would be a very good opportunity to open up people who don't really have an idea of all these things. So look up all these things online. If you can download some of them, go ahead. If you can subscribe for some of them, go ahead. It will really, really help you. Okay, yeah, Dr. Lebi already spoke about this, so there's nothing I want to talk about. The summer research opportunities for undergrad students, there are a lot of them in the US. So there are a lot of opportunities that you guys don't know. And I know some of you already know that and they're enjoying it. Ridwan is in the house. Ridwan was here with me a few months ago. Is one of you. So yeah, a lot of people who are coming to the US, going to Canada, going to the UK, going to Europe, just to do summer research internship or program, all expense paid. All you just have to do is to search, just go online. Google is your friend. Just go online and search what are the opportunities or summer research opportunities I can do as a vet student. Click on that and you see a lot of them, and for most of them, all you just have to do is apply, and you can get it if your profile is very good, your CV is very nice, and you've already done the homework based on what Dr. Debbie said earlier and what I've also spoken to you about earlier on. PhD fellowship. Okay, like she also mentioned, in the US, you really don't need a master's to get PhD position, just that if you're coming straight, and all these things she mentioned, if you're coming straight from Nigeria to come and do PhD, you struggle a little. I know you struggle a little, but you get used to the system and you'll be fine. So you don't need a master's, like I said, to get into PhD program in the US. This is very important, because I get a lot of questions from people. People reach out to me like, do I need to do a master's? Do I need to get first class and all that? Just apply, Then postdocs. So I really don't need to go over the slide because she did a good job mentioning all these things. So if you finish your PhD, of course, you can go ahead and do postdocs, several of it. So yeah, let's just go over this stepwise guide for application. And again, she has mentioned a lot of this again. Like, first thing is to scout for the institution or the program you want to do. Go on Google. Google is your friend. I mentioned that again. And you can even check the school website. There are a lot of schools in the world that you can find out if they are giving scholarship, if they are paying application fees, if they are doing, just be conversant with stuff like that instead of using your data to do NairaBet. And okay, I know a lot of people will come, they will come for me now when I said NairaBet. Instead of using your data to do some funny things, and you can use your data to actually look for schools and look for opportunities. Then when you've done that, make a short list. Usually I advise, when I was applying to the US, I applied to about 12 schools or so, thereabout. And I paid the application fee for all of them. So that was crazy. Now you have application fee waiver and stuff like that. So that's also to underline or to emphasize the fact that when you're passionate about something, you really don't care. You go to the highest possible limits to get your dreams actualized. So shortlist your desired institutions and programs. If you don't have energy and strength, because it's not just money, you also need to put in your time to craft or to draft your essays and all that. And don't write. I have to say this again now. I think it's becoming something now that people do plagiarism a lot. And I think I read something on LinkedIn one time where a school actually reversed the application or the admission already given to somebody because of plagiarism. So try and put in efforts. If you know you cannot give in enough time for 10 schools, you can just shortlist 5 or 7 schools and then make sure that you give due diligence to applying to those schools with all that is needed, the SOP and all that, and don't copy all these junks that are online. Then yeah, cold emails. I think some people already know about this, but it's okay to contact professors in the US, in Canada, in UK, whatever place you've identified that you want to do research in, you want to do master's or PhD. It's okay to write them an email, but like Dr. Devi also said, some of them might not reply, not because they hate you, it's just because there's a firewall. They don't want scam from that part of the world. So sometimes ResearchGate, sometimes I think some people have used that method to also contact people. ResearchGate, I showed you ResearchGate earlier. So if you reach out to people, some people will just make a comment on something, and then you can also comment on that and you say something very sensible. And conferences and all that, like she mentioned, she did a good job in talking about conferences. You can meet supervisors and potential PIs, principal investigators, in conferences, and you strike a conversation that will eventually lead to opportunities. So yeah, it's okay to write an email, a cold email to professors, and just talk about their work, what they are doing, how fascinating those stuff are, and the possibility of learning under them. So yeah, we have a lot of trainings on how people should write those kind of stuff. And we do a lot of trainings on that. And then write exams. It's not bad if you're in 500 level, if you already get, but I know most schools are also stopping the GRE requirement and all that, but some are still some still need you to write them. So it's not bad if you already have some plans on how to write these exams, graduate record exam, English proficiency exams like TOEFL and IELTS. It's not only the US. I know some schools in the UK also want you to show IELTS, and those some schools they are fine with your O level if you have a very good WAEC English result. I know a school a friend went to, I think in Birmingham City University. They actually take Nigeria WAEC result for English language. So yeah, but the point is, if you are applying to a place and they require these exams, if you have found out, it's a very good time for you to start making preparation for writing those exams. And you don't just, these are no exams you just jump into and you think you want, because they are, number one, they're expensive. I don't know how much TOEFL costs now, but as at the time I was in Nigeria, it was around 50,000 or 55,000 naira. And I know it would be much more now. And then GRE also was around maybe 70,000 or 80,000, but I know it should be much more now. So, but you can make plans, you can save up money. Again, it boils down to passion, to what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, when you look back, you realize that those little money you actually spend it there were nothing compared to the kind of things you're exposed to now. So yeah, then fill out application forms correctly. Don't be lazy. Take time to fill out those forms. You'll be writing things like statement of purpose, research statement, personal statement. I know the people who spoke to you yesterday will probably talked about this, getting scholarships abroad. You have to learn how to, again, it boils down to, or it goes back to the things I was talking to you about, the soft skills. You have to know how to write. It's a very good skill. And you have to know how to talk. It's very good. So statement of purpose, research statement, personal statement. And in the US, I spoke about application fees. You can save up for that and shortly after my presentation, I'm going to make some sort of announcement for AVMS. At least it's time to give back to AVMS after so many years. So yeah, we'll get to that. And then recommendation letters. If you have not built a very good mentor-mentee relationship with people, and you're just bothering them with recommendation letter, it might not work. In fact, some of them will give you like half a page kind of reference this thing, and then if by the time you read it, you know it's just generic letter, you know, because you have not really invested in that relationship. So it boils down to what I was talking about before. Find out your niche, reach out to people in that space that are leaders that have done that have done so well in that field, and then invest in that relationship. You know, sometimes if you have identified somebody, let's say microbiology, for example, or immunology, sometimes go into the lab, you know, help them out. Sometimes if they are doing some experiments in the lab just without any pay. You can even offer to be like, you know, can I be an intern under you for just 3 months? Don't pay me anything. I just want to learn and I can help out, you know. So by the time you need recommendation letters, it'll be very easy for them to give you, you know, because they already know you and they know how useful you could be in a research lab. So yeah. Okay. Now we'll go back to the prayer again. It's very important. In everything you do, pray, because sometimes you can apply for a position and you might be so unlucky that you have a lot of bad guys also applying and you might not be shortlisted. So, but when you pray, of course, there's a way God will find a way to open doors for you. So moving on, I want to quickly finish so that we can have enough time for question and answers. So the golden tips that I have for you guys, I've shown this slide more than 4 or 5 times to other groups of students, and by the time you see this, what comes to mind? Does anybody have an answer? When you see this image, can you see that image? Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Like, and there are 2 ways to talking about this. Number 1 is that don't just assume that being a clinician is going to work, you know, for you later on in life. Don't just put your eggs in one basket in that regard. Diversify your skills, your abilities, pay due diligence to developing yourself as a biomedical researcher also, because by the time you graduate, you see what is happening in Nigeria right now. The situation might not be favorable for you. You might also need to, you know, switch career into being a researcher and all that. So don't put your egg in one basket in that regard. And the other thing is also that when you're applying, don't just apply to one place. You know, just make sure that you apply to several places. It's okay to have several offers, and then you can make your choice from that. Then stand on the shoulder of giants. We've already talked about this the other time. Mentorship is very, very important. There are several things that within the space of time that we have together this afternoon, like just this 40 minutes talk, I might not be able to say everything. Dr. Alibi, you might not be able to say everything. And maybe if you bring anybody again, they might not be able to tell you everything. But when you're a mentee under them, there are so many things they will share with you. There are several tricks they will share with you on how to navigate this journey. So yeah, then start early. The same thing she said the other time. So it's the same thing I'm saying again. Start early. It's very important. There are some of you now, they are in 300 level, 400 level. They've already had exposure in the US, in Germany, and by the time people like that are applying to grad school, it will be like a very, very easy passage, because when you have done something before, people can believe that you can do it again. So start early now. Start making plans now. Start joining those associations, those scientific associations. Start, if you don't have a LinkedIn, go and create one already. Join the lab, or do an internship somewhere that can develop your biomedical research skills. It's very, very important. Start now, and don't give up, because you're going to face challenges, definitely. There will be times when you'll be like, let me just go and learn how to inject a dog and just, by the time I graduate, I'll work. I think there's a police vets college now. I saw the news some days ago. That's where vet students are rushing to now, So I just want to work for government and not, it might not work that way. So yeah, start early and never give up. Yeah, I think that's the bit I have for you guys. And I'll be happy to answer your question. So let me just say this before we go to the question. So I've always had this passion to start something or to do something for AVMS, but it's a very good opportunity to tie it also to research. So I don't know, I discussed that with the AVMS president, but just passively a few weeks ago, I would like to start a scholarship for AVMS, but it would be people, or it will be given to people who can write very, very nice, the essays will be tailored towards experimental design, basically, such that you can think critically and you can synthesize research ideas and stuff like that from your DVM stage. And it will be very competitive and, of course, worth the while. So yeah, so I'm open to questions if you have any. Thank you. Okay, I think Chidera or Steven can help moderate that.
Okay, so I think Chidera is unavailable presently. Okay, he's back.
No, I'm
Chidera.
sorry. Yeah, I'm here. I was talking. I didn't realize I didn't unmute myself. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for the lecture. You just helped to dot all the T's and cross the I's. Sorry, dot all the I's and cross the T's. And with what you said, we are going to think you've actually given us something to like put into practice, put into work. You talked about communication skills, you talked about bettering yourself, developing, building a relationship with mentors and everything. And we're going to put that into practice. Thank you very much, sir. I don't know, guys, if you have questions to ask. If you have questions, please signify by raising your hand and I'll call you. Once I call you, you unmute and ask your question openly, direct it at any of the speakers you're asking the question to. If you don't want to ask your questions openly, you can put it in the chat box and I will read it out to the speaker or speakers. So please signify by raising your hand and I will call you. Okay. I think Damilola has a question. Damilola, please, you can unmute and ask your question. Damilola, are you there? Okay, I think there's a glitch network from his end. Shion, Oluwaseun, you can unmute and ask a question. Shion, are you there?
I think Favor is raising his hand.
Okay, Favor Ajibadi, you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Debbie and Dr. Chris, for the wonderful session. I really learned a lot. So the first question is directed to both of them. So I would like to ask, is it very good to specialize in like your area of biomedical research, like where you have an interest in very early. So the second question is for Dr. Debbie concerning conference. Okay, could you kindly give some tips on how to apply for those conferences? Thank you very much.
Dr. Chris, I think you can jump on that.
Okay, so I was busy typing in the comment section, but if I got your question correctly, you were asking, can you repeat that first one again? Sorry.
So I was asking if it's very good to specialize early when it comes to your area of interest in biomedical research, or would you advise to explore more?
Okay. So the beautiful thing about vet medicine, I think, is that during your 6 years of study, you're giving like a very nice exposure to all those areas. Let's start from preclinical class. You have biochemistry, you have physiology, you have anatomy. Then in your paraclinical class, you have microbiology, you have parasitology. Then you have, what else again? Then you have pharmacology. Then in your clinical year, you now have surgery, you have medicine, you have public health and the likes. So you have like exposure to everything during your DVM. You really don't need more time to get exposed to those stuff, basically, because you are exposed both to the theoretical part and the laboratory aspect, though not that intense, but you're exposed to like both the theory and the lab work. So yeah, during that time you can already develop your interest, probably based on how the lab goes or how the lecturer is talking about it. I got interested in immunology in my 400 level. That was through Dr. Akiraji, the way she was teaching and talking about, I think we're talking about neutralization and stuff like that, how antibodies react to infections and stuff. So that was where my interest came from, and that has been what I've been building on ever since. Like I've always wanted infectious diseases, immunology and stuff, so you can, your interest can already be carved out from that stage, master's degree again, to really know what they want. I knew what I wanted from undergrad, but I did masters in biochemistry. There were so many other reasons that were attached to that, but I did masters in biochemistry, and it really helped me because, like I said earlier, that's like the basics. You need to know cell biology before you can even talk about molecular biology and things like that. So that really helped me. It was a good leverage for me to build upon after I now finished my first master's degree before I went to Europe. So yes, you can develop your interest very early. If you see what you like, fine. If you're still confused, like I don't even understand stuff, probably you need one more degree, before you go out. Like Professor Olopade used to tell us then that don't go out of the country if you don't have a master's yet. Like develop yourself first, like know what you really, really want. So there are people like that, they will need a second degree to really know what they want. But it depends on you, basically. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Favor, can you repeat your second question? I didn't get the second question that you directed.
Okay, so you talked about applying for conferences. So I asked if you can kindly give some tips that will help when applying for conferences.
Okay. One, if you're applying for conferences, it should be, for you to be considered for a travel award, you have to be a member of that society. Like most conference organizers will not, most of them will not give someone that is not their member like a travel award. So the first step is join a society. Then as a member, you get their emails when they're organizing conferences, then you can apply. Most of this society, if not all, I stand to be corrected, if not all, have some grants for students attendees. So that way you can now you can now attend via the application to a travel award. So it also depends on your interest, like Dr. Chris said. What are you interested in? If you are interested in immunology, if you're interested, there are societies that focus on immunology, and so you can join as a student member. If you're interested in neuroscience, if you're interested in anatomy, there's all these societies that you can join as a student member. Then the opportunities for membership will be open to you. And you can also have this conference the society, the directories, and you can know every other person that is a member of that society. So that's what I mean.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, the next person, Tundi Ulu, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
So, yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I really learned a lot. So my question is this. What would you advise? I mean, vet medicine is a whole lot. We have to be in class, make attendance, try our best to get good grades. And these international opportunities, what would you advise a student to apply for them and go regardless of the effect it will have on the academic? I mean, imagining I win something and school is in session, I have to miss classes and it might have detrimental effects. So which advice will you give to us? Should we wait till the time is perfect or just apply anyways?
On that, or you want me to go first?
I think you can go, Ma.
Okay. So one, Nigerian education system, I'm sorry to use this word, is upside down. Most of this summer internship is always during the summer, and all over the world. Even in Nigeria, back then, we used to be on break until the academic session is not regular. Today, we start the session. Usually, you start the session in September and end the session in June. And that is when you have all the summer internship. So usually, if not that I don't want to call us an abnormal nation, but like our case is pathological, not physiological. I'm saying that because we're all veterinary medical students. So having said that, it's not the fault of the conference organizers or the summer school organizers that you are in session when every other part of the world, when you're on break. One, for you to get that program, I believe that student is a top student. And I've seen people in the past we have had to take at the faculty board meeting and at board of studies meeting, I've at least 3-4 students that one wanted to go and do internship with World Bank, and we had to make a case. They always make a case for you that let this student go. Is either you come back when others are doing receipts, you will take it as your first exam, but it depends on you that you don't allow that gap. Is now, but I know that the people we have at the faculty were your fathers and your mothers. Nobody will see you have opportunities and say, don't go. The opportunity might not be there when you are now ready. So that is why we always encourage you, people who always to go for such opportunities. And at the end of the day, when you come back, you come and if you're able to balance, and I know if you are getting opportunities, you're a bright student, you are able to make up for the lost ground.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Hello. Hello, Ma. Hello. Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you, Damilola. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes. Sorry for the other time. I muted myself, but it seems I could not be heard. Nevertheless, so thank you very much, sir. For the wonderful session. What I want to ask is for veterinary students, at least from my experience, sometimes it can be difficult to get access to internships within Nigeria now, in labs where there is active emphasis on the word active research going on. And I was wondering if it's possible that we might have the support of the likes of you and Sama, if you know maybe labs in Nigeria like where students can easily maybe pursue some of those, if they want to explore, if you want to just have some kind of exposure to research, if you have maybe knowledge of labs where they can access and provide support in terms of maybe just recommending them or something like that, labs in the FVRI, for example, or some other labs where they do something that we can really engage in and learn a lot from there, and from there post further opportunities. I don't know if my question is clear, man. Just a kind of a form of support for students wanting to explore research opportunities within the locality here in Nigeria for a start. And I also want to ask, Ma, how were you able to, you mentioned the fact that you were applying for many conferences and travel grants and awards and waivers and all that. How were you able to tell a story? I mean, to apply to those programs, considering your uncertainties when you came into VET and the diversity of experiences you had. I mean, working in communications, the industry, and all those different capacities. How were you able to make a story out of all that and apply to those programs? Or was it that you already knew that you were going to end up, teaching or working as a postdoctoral, researcher, and from the start? Like, how were you able to just pull all those stories together and use them for the applications? I don't know if the question is clear.
Question, support. I don't know what level of support you need, but I think I shared my email address at the point. You can send me emails. I always review people's, and I think Dr. Chris too will share. He has a platform with some of his colleagues. Please, is it on behalf of AVMS, at least you are one of us, being an ESCO, if you don't mind, if these younger colleagues can send you their details, if you have maybe a WhatsApp group or something, if it's not filled up, please, if you can let them join, and that would be very good. And yes, so I don't know the support you want, but I know people, like somebody is there, though I'm not in the country, wanted to intern in a lab. I had to tell him to go to another colleague, and he chatted me up and he told me some of the skills he has gained from that experience. So I'm always available. If you need references, if I've worked with you closely, I'll give you a strong reference. If I've not worked with you closely, I might not be able to write something very strong for you. So I will let you go with people that can write you a stronger reference than mine. Having said that, when I'm writing my application, I just tell my story. And I think everybody can relate to that story. So my story is different from your story, but if people read your application and they see a face to it, they can relate with that story. So what's my story? What story do I tell in all this web application? I'm a vet. I started as a clinician. I saw the effect of environmental toxicity in some poultry beds, in some small animal. And this led me to pursue a research in pharmacology and toxicology, looking at the environment and how it affects the nervous system. That's just my story. And I did this, I did that. So just tell your story. And I feel that, okay, attending this conference will further help me to network with people around the globe. I don't think there's any university in Ilorin that is still trying to start. No university in Nigeria gives a PhD in neuroscience. So I told that story. Okay, I'm from a country where neuroscience is a budding field and attending this. So just tell your story. Somebody I've read so many applications and people will relate with your story depending on how, and I think it also boils down to what he's saying, science communication. How well are you able to tell your story? Somebody wrote an application about maybe using, and the person has been on a search for looking for how to clamp fake drug and all that, and looking for assays and mechanism to discover fake and something like that, to be able to know animal residue. Just tell your story. I don't want to take our time. Tell your story, and I can always review for you if the need arises.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, I think we have 2 more questions, and that's just it. So, Phil Ajibade, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay, thank you. So I think Dr. Adebi already answered part of the question. So I would like to direct the question to Dr. Chris. I think most people struggle with structuring their statement of purpose. I don't know if you can kindly give some tips on structuring a good statement of purpose, especially when applying for even research internship in other lab and also CV. So thank you.
Okay. So okay, go on.
Okay, I'm sorry, please. Okay, I would also like to direct this to Dr. Libby. So she was talking about the fact that the faculty could allow the student to write with people during receipt. So based on that, I would like to ask if a student is to get distinction based on the mark, will you be considered as a normal exam or like a receipt? Maybe when the person even gets above 75, they don't get distinction. So I would like to know that. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just, I know Dr. Adebi would answer that concisely, but let me just say this, at least with the little I know, that this kind of situation is a trade-off, right? So you basically have to present yourself as a very good student to make a very good case. I suspect that's exactly what is going on before the faculty board. If you have an opportunity outside the country and you're supposed to write a main exam and you're not going to be there, you have to, it's a trade-off. You have to really present yourself as a very good candidate. And, it's not, I don't think there's anybody that will give like that 100% assurance. I don't know, you can just leave anyhow and then we'll still help you. And, but I will leave out to answer that question. Then about the statement of purpose, so there are several ways of writing statement of purpose. A very good one, a winning statement of purpose. But one common thing is that you must be able to show where you're coming from, like your background. You must be able to communicate that very well. And then you must also be able to convince the person or whoever it is that's reading your SOP that you know what you want to do. So it's like going back to go forward, right? I have like a 40-minute kind of video on how to write a very sound statement of purpose. And like Dr. Libby rightly suggested, I would probably ask somebody to, I don't know how, we have a platform actually, like 2 of the platforms, and you can be added to the group, and I can even share some old, but the constraint I have about sharing templates is that people end up copying everything in that template. I just, submitting it like that, which is very bad actually, but I can actually spend some time, if people have some time, because it's going to take a while if I start talking about how to write SOP and showing examples of how to do that. So I'll probably suggest that the AVMS president should, if it's possible to get the phone numbers of everybody in this place, send that to me, then I can add everybody to that group that I created specifically for writing good SOP. Now that we have like the admission, we're in the admission season currently, or the application season rather. So yeah, so if you can get the number of everybody I think we're just 34 people here right now, so roughly 32 people. If you can get their phone number, I can add them to that page and then we can talk more about that, if it's okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, your second question. Students, please don't quote me that Dr. Debbie said they will release you, please. I just said that your lecturers are considerate, and it depends on how you go about it. So it's not automatic. Don't go over and be thinking, Dr. Debbie has told us, I'm going, this one and that one, please. Don't quote me anywhere. I didn't say that, let me even retract it. So, having said that, in the past, what we do is that your receipt exam is taken as your main exam, because you never failed the first time. It's just that you did not take the exam. When I was an undergraduate, we've had cases when people will fall sick and they will be in Jaja or UCH and they will be able to take the first exam and they will take the main exam. But all these things is not a straight rule. depends on your case, and the decision lies at the faculty board and at the faculty board of studies. So it can work for A and it will take it as main exam and may not work for B. So that's why I said you should go logically, that's why you have the sub-dean, you have the dean, walk up to these people and let them know at the point of your application, because I'm sure maybe you need a reference letter or an introduction letter going to the embassy. So having said that, I think nobody will quote me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, I think Dr. S.E. Udubu has a question. Please, I can unmute.
Thank you very much, both presenters. My own story is a little different. I'm an older student in the sense that I started my DVN program in ABU as early as 2001. Somehow didn't finish from DVM again, finished from animal science. Later went back to do DVM in Makurdi and have finished. And I'm interested in following a path in virology. And so Dr. Akinsule's story and experience appeals to me very much. But at the same time, I want to ask, what are my prospects if I'm applying for a PhD program and I have a partner, I have a wife? Will that bring down my chances, or they will recognize that and I still have some prospects?
Okay, so I think the first question to ask is, where exactly do you want to apply to? Is it the US, Canada, UK, Europe?
No, I would prefer the Canada-US approach, since there's an arrangement for a PhD directly after DVM. The fact that I have a BSc and then a DVM, I won't want to spend extra time doing a program, an MSc first before doing a DVM.
Oh, okay. So I think Dr. Debi can help talk about Canada and the admission things over there. But the little I know about the US is that, yes, you can actually get a PhD position here, depending on how strong your profile is and application and all that. But as regards bringing in family, yes, there's a position for that. I'm not an immigrant or immigration officer, so I may not be able to give you the precise answers. But the little I know is that of course, you can bring your family. There is a special visa for family, for wives or spouse. Spouses, better wife bringing husband, or husband bringing wife, or husband bringing kids and all that. So there's F2 visa. I know about that. And I know if you're on J1 visa, there's also J2 visa and the likes of them. So, but the only caveat there is that, unlike in Canada and in the UK, I guess, in the UK is very receptive until recently. They started having issues with Nigerians bringing too many people. Guess they have pressure on their facilities and the likes. In the US, your spouse or your dependents may actually not be able to work or study for the time you're a student, because you basically be on F1 visa. And F1 visa, a dependent to an F1 visa holder cannot work or study in the US. So they are basically here to just support you and make sure that you have like all the emotional that you have until you finish your study. But if they are also graduates, they can come in on F2 visa and then switch to F1 visa. So that is not automatic. What they have to do is what they should have done while you're also applying. So they have to also apply and get admission and then go and get their own F1 visa, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course there's opportunity, there's a place for that, but you have to think about it very well, I think the first get the offer and I'll start thinking about family and how to navigate that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Yeah. So let me just chip in something. Dr. Obudu, when we are reviewing your application, we are not reviewing it as married or marriage. We are reviewing merits. So if you are married, it's not a disadvantage and it's not an advantage. There's no way in your SOP that will show that you are married or you're, unless you want to tell a story, a family story that is related to your marriage. But nobody will assess your application based on, are you married? Do you have children? Nobody will do that. Having said that,
Okay.
just to add to what Dr. Kingsley said, the only difference is in Canada, your spouse can come with you and your spouse will be given an open work permit. You will have a study visa. That's the only difference with Canada and in the US. In Canada, your spouse can work.
Okay.
With an open work visa. Open work visa means your spouse can do any job, can work anywhere, depending on whatever qualification she has, while you go to school. But in the US, it is illegal for someone with an F2 visa to work. So let's switch it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
US is
Very grateful.
They're very stingy.
Okay, it seems we don't. Oh, okay, Olushola. Olaolu.
Yeah,
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask it.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Chris, for your presentation, and as well, Dr. Adebi. I think Dr. Chris, we've severally met. Well, mine is not just, it's not a question, but then maybe a question. I will just, I'm in the part of neuroscience, neuroimmunology, and I will be glad if Dr. Adebi can share her email address so I can find out or try to get some, because I've been following you on LinkedIn, and then I would love to get some feedbacks about some. I'm currently running my PhD in that aspect, so I would love to get some clarity in that aspect. Thank you so much.
So nice to see you again.
Yeah, Dr. Chris.
Yeah, we actually met when I was doing my NYC in MVRI, and I was seeing the name, but I wasn't really sure if you're the one. So nice to connect again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, guys. We won't be taking any more questions. At this point, I would like to hand over to the president to take over.
All right. Thank you very much, Idera. In fact, you've done an amazing job coordinating and sticking to time in the last 24 hours. Thank you very much, our moderator. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our speakers, Dr. Adebi and Dr. Chris, and also our speakers from yesterday, although they are not here present today. One of them was present initially, but I think for one reason or the other, I had to leave Dr. Shanusu Oluwaseyi for sparing some of their time to address us and then enlighten us, impact us. In fact, I don't know, I personally have learned a lot. In fact, many things I didn't know about before this night, and now I have a little bit of clarity on many of all these things. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Ma. We are sincerely grateful. We are grateful that you had to just spare some time for us, despite the fact that the call for this came on the short notice and with your busy schedule and everything. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Ma. We are grateful to have you. And then also, thank you, sir, Dr. Chris. You've discussed a little bit with me regarding the scholarship, but I'll follow up. Thank you very much, sir, for giving back to the association. Also to everyone here, due to we had more participants last night, but today, due to electricity challenges and one thing or the other, we had to just, I don't know, we had less participation today. In fact, even me right now, my gadgets are almost dead, but we are just managing ourselves. That's the country we are right now. It's fine, and I'm grateful to everyone that participated in this. There wouldn't be any seminar if people were not here listening and hearing from our speakers, and also people that participated from schools outside UI. We had students from other schools yesterday and today as well. Thank you very much for the attention. In fact, it's so obvious that we're all following and paying 100% attention from all the questions that were asked and everything. Thank you all. You made this session worthwhile. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do this more often. And I wish also success in our future endeavors, and that whichever career path we find ourselves, whether in the clinic or in research or in the academia, we all excel in all our endeavors. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, our speakers. Thank you to moderator. Thank you to the guests. So I think on this note, we call it a wrap for this. This is the first edition, as it was stated on the flyer. This is the 1.0. So hopefully, as the session goes on, we'll push for more of this. And so, yeah, so if you would like to be a part of the group Dr. Akinsuliye is putting together, kindly reach out to me on WhatsApp so I can compile the contacts and send to him. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir and man. Thank you for the attention and cooperation. Yeah, so I don't know if any other person has anything to say again. Tunde? Hello, Tunde? Okay, I think
he just forgot to like take the hand back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this meeting has been recorded. So
Hello, is it me?
yeah, you raised your hand. That's why I was calling your name.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you very much to the administration. Also, we don't know if we can get this kind of exposure as regards how we can take professional exams in the US in case we have any senior alumni there and practice in the US or in the UK. Not just like clinics, not just research, but also practicing as a vet outside this country. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. We'll work on that. So this is just a start. Yeah,
yes,
thank you.
I have to say something about that. Yes, like we are not all equal. Some people might want to pursue clinical pathway. So if ABMS president can reach out to me, I'll give you links of our colleagues that are practicing in the US. At least I know 2 or 3 people in the US, and I know at least one person here in Ontario, close to us in Canada here, that is practicing, and they'll be very, very willing to share their experiences with you.
Yes, ma. Thank you very much, ma. So I think that answers your question, Tunde. So we'll work on that. Since there, okay, ma.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay, ma. Since there are no other questions or suggestions, there's a recording for this meeting already. You can reach out to me for that as well. I'll send it to you directly. And then for their contact, I have Dr. Adebiyi's email. You can as well reach out to me for that. So any other information regarding this meeting or subsequent meetings will be passed across to us. Thank you very much for the attention.
Okay, I chatted with Dr. Chidera and Toby. I said, for staying to the end of the meeting, please note all these last participants.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
That's a token for the data you spent for participating. So,
please, like Dr. Adebi has done a lot. Like I don't even know what else to say apart from thank you. Like we really appreciate you, ma, and we're grateful to have you, ma, as our mother in the profession and mother in the academia as well. Thank you very much. So I've taken note of all the last participants. Thank you all for staying to the very end. I know it's not easy with the challenges, and in fact, that even the Saturday, many are already watching a football match right now or engaged in something else. But we all sacrificed our time to wait till this moment. So kudos to you guys too as well. Thank you very much. I think at this juncture, we
Thank you
can
very much.
call it a wrap.